Good afternoon and welcome. On behalf of Veterans in Trucking, we would like to thank you for attending our session, The Value of Veteran Drivers. My name is Roland. I'm the Vice President of Sales with Veterans in Trucking, and today we are here to celebrate our veteran military drivers. We also want to recognize our partners, trucking companies that work with us through our Veterans in Trucking Partnership. And then we want to talk about strategies and action items that we can take back and help with your military hiring. So with that, let's get started. I don't have a clicker. Next. With this, I want to start first and let you know this is a video.
Our world appears as a spinning sphere in a vacuum of silence. It's impossible to see what might be the greatest experiment of freedom and self-expression that has ever existed. A country built on self-governance, innovation, and hard work, imperfect but still striving closer each day towards delivering liberty and justice to all of its citizens, the one, the only United States of America. From the skyscrapers of New York City overlooking the Atlantic, across the plains of the Midwest, to the top of the mighty Rockies, back down to the sun-drenched beaches of Southern California. This is our home, where we live, love, and pursue our dreams, start families, build friendships, work, but this land does not exist in a vacuum. No. In fact, the only effort greater than our development, the work of our hands, even our tradition of excellence, is the sacrifice of defending it. While the majority of our citizens sleep peacefully at home in our beds, a world away, our brothers, our sisters defend this great nation, not just with their time, not just with their bodies, but with a willingness to pay the ultimate price, a willingness to preserve our union with their very lives, be it against tyranny, terrorism, or even maintaining the freedom of our allies. But when the tour is over, another battle begins. Our country is not a battleground. The tranquility can sometimes be more deafening than the explosions strewn across the night sky, and the day-to-day doesn't always offer the same sense of camaraderie and purpose. Transitioning to a civilian life can be one of the hardest fights some veterans will ever face. Because America is always moving, no matter how much time may seem to stand still. Food production, building construction, freshwater, fuel, medical supplies, keeping store shelves stocked, the rise of e-commerce, and more are the heart of America. Highways and byways act as veins of a massive nationwide cardiovascular system, leaving the drivers who transport all of this the very lifeblood of our country, traversing this land with one mission, one main objective: to ensure the continuation of this experiment, fueling, refueling, and replenishing its every need, spending days to months away from friends and family, trading a bedroom for a bunk, a backyard barbecue for a passing conversation in a truck stop parking lot. These men, these women press on, driven by the understanding that if trucks stop, everything stops. Veterans in Trucking is passionate about bringing awareness to the distinct parallels and crossovers between these two amazing groups of people. In most cases, not only is trucking a great transition for veterans, but some of the skill sets and the mentality from days spent in active duty can lead veterans to excel inside of the trucking space. Their mindset, their motivation, their ability to act at a moment's notice, their inability to give up in the face of insurmountable odds. We do this not only to help carriers understand, or to help as many veterans as we can transition into a viable career that fits them perfectly. We also operate under one main understanding. If there was no military, there would be no America. If there were no drivers, there would be no America left to defend.
Yeah, that was an awesome video. I appreciate Bright Lights Media for helping us produce that. And that really sets the tone for this whole session, and that's what VIT stands for, our Veterans in Trucking. Our mission is basically we are committed to helping our nation heroes transition their skill sets into our industry, the trucking industry. So with that, I want to introduce some of our partners. So at this time, first I would like to introduce Roger Fair. If you'll come up and help me, Roger. If you don't know Roger, you're one of few, because Roger, Roger Fair, been in our industry 30 years. He was one of our very first employees at CDLLife, as well as Veterans in Trucking. Roger's a military veteran as well, the Army, so Roger, thank you for your service. What we want to do now is I want to call up every driver that is part of our partnership. We want to give you a challenge coin as a token of our appreciation for being partners with us at Veterans in Trucking. So when I call your name, if you would come up and meet Roger, he's going to give you the coin along with a Veterans in Trucking hat. So first up, from ACT, Ken Mateer, U.S. Army. From CFI, Don Welch, U.S. Army. From Clean Harbors, Larry Pope, U.S. Army. That's right. From Continental Express, Jason Robinson, U.S. Army. From CRST, Brian Smith, U.S. Army. From CRST, Aaron Memory, U.S. Army. From CRST, Jim Nayland, U.S. Air Force. From CRST, Tom Caldwell, Marine Corps. From Hanson and Atkins, Terrell Johnson, Marine Corps. From Hirschbach, Robert Goodenow, Marine Corps. From Knight Transportation, Kevin Knight, Navy. From Knight Transportation, Marcia Lukenbill, U.S. Army. From Roadrunner, Sydney Sykes, Navy. From Roadrunner, Patrick Quinn, Navy. From Truck Pros, Terry Parkinson, Army National Guard. From Whale Company, Dwayne Allen, U.S. Army. Let's give everybody a round of applause. Thank you. For those in the room who are not familiar with Veterans in Trucking, I'll explain it with three objectives. First, we want to recognize all military veterans that are in our industry, whether they're transitioning in or they may have been in our industry for 15 or 20 years. And second, we want to introduce those military veterans to trucking companies like yourself that are here and wanting to make that a top initiative of your company. And then third, we work with our partners to make sure you have the tools and resources in place to make sure you have a veteran readiness program that will help the transitioning veterans. So with that in mind, we put together our partnership. It has a couple of different things. Of course, the first thing that we do is we do the military-themed wrap. If you have not been over to the West Wing yet, please go over to where the concession area is to the left of the West Wing, and you'll see all of these drivers that are participating, and they'll have their tractors, and they're all military wrapped. So please visit us there. So that's the first thing. We want to recognize the driver. That driver becomes really an advocate for your company. Anywhere that he pulls over, somebody's going to come look at your truck, and y'all can attest to that. So that's the first thing, is the recognition of your military driver. From there, we give additional decals like one of these that you can put on, other drivers that are in the military that's in your service, that's in your fleet. So you have the decals, you have the wrap. In addition to that, we want to introduce the drivers to you as a company. So we put you on our job board on Veterans in Trucking, and then we share those applications back to the company. And then we do some branding. We're going to put you on our website. We run display advertising. We also write an article called a sponsored content. This is a great opportunity where you can really highlight your driver, your program, the journey that they had from when they were in the military to how they ended up with your company. So it's a great opportunity to really highlight their story. Next slide, please. And then we also work to build custom landing pages. So everyone has a careers page, but we have found that if it's custom, if you're speaking the language of a veteran, you're going to have a better response. Your bounce rate will be lower, which simply means if a driver goes there, they can find what they're looking for. They're not going to bounce and leave your site. So we always suggest to let us build you a custom landing page that is veteran friendly, as well as speaking the language of a veteran. Next slide. So if you are interested in partnering with us, I ask you please to get with our team while we're here. We would love to work with you. And we're in booth 173 over where all the trucks are. So please come visit us. At this time, I want to introduce from Clean Harbor, Kevin Ridings, Executive Vice President of National Transport, and Larry Pope. They are both veterans of the Army. They're going to come up and speak about their program and give their driver an opportunity to speak to you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate your service. At this time, I'd like to introduce Josh Mecca, driver of recruitment for ACT, along with his driver, Ken Mature, veteran of the National Guard. Appreciate it. Thank you. Appreciate your service.
So, hey, everybody. Again, I'm Josh with American Central Transport, and when we were first approached by the crew at Veterans in Trucking about this new program, this new idea that they had as a way that we can promote, I had this gentleman here to my right in mind. Ken has been with ACT. It feels like you started yesterday, but it's been several years now. And the thing that I really appreciate about Ken is his story, his heart, his commitment to service, what he's done for our country. When our country needed him most, he stepped back up, he re-volunteered, took care of what we had to take care of, and now he's back. Came into our program through a training program that we had. Well, it's not really a training program. It's a making sure that we understand the rules of the road program. So with that, we brought him back in, and then it took me another 18 months to convince him that he's got everything we need to help me train that next generation. So Ken, thank you. Served in the Army for several years, took some time off, started driving a truck, re-enlisted in National Guard after 9/11, and went overseas on a tour or so. But with Ken, and why I love this program so much is when I look at my fleet, we've got 265 trucks in Kansas City, Missouri, operating Central Midwest, 100% dry van network. My drivers get great home time. They get everything that we need to help transition. They get a great support network. They get everything we're looking for. But when it comes to our veterans, I started looking at our count and realized that, we've got a very veteran-heavy fleet. We're about 1/3 veterans just across our general network. And I realized that's why it's a big component as to why we can do some of the stuff that we do as a fleet, because we were intentionally marketing toward our veterans. And now through this program, it's just another way to recognize. I know my numbers in my classes each week keep getting bigger and bigger because I know I'm bringing on more people into our fleet like Ken. And the background that he brings, the commitment, the loyalty, just being a damn good human being. I mean, it's what we are, right? Or most of us anyway. A lot of us, we're good. But, that being said, take those moments to be intentional with your veterans. Take those moments to say thank you. You get those chances. You just always got to think. We got to do that. But the most important part is just be genuine in who you are. So Roger, Jamie, Matt, thank you for putting this together. I know that I've missed other people in here, but you guys have done an amazing job with this program, and we look forward to partnering with it for years to come as a way that we can say thank you to the men and women that have served in our nation and continue to serve, keeping us supplied with everything that we need. So thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
All right. Now we'd like to introduce FASTPORT. I'd like to ask Brad Bentley, president of FASTPORT, to please come up.
Just a time we're just going to highlight a couple of our programs today. As he said, I'm Brad Bentley, president of FASTPORT. We can go to the next slide. We started out as a technology company, primarily known for creating digital tools for veteran service organizations. Our largest customer is actually the U.S. Chamber of Commerce for a program they have called Hiring Our Heroes. The reason I want to mention that today is one of the things that they challenged us to do once we started working with them was to build industry-based job tracks. So we did that with a product called the Trucking Track, which is what kind of brought us back to this industry. My colleague Dave Harrison is going to be coming up here in a few minutes kind of talking about what happened after we got into more broad-based workforce development and all the things that we're doing with the Department of Labor. But because of Dave's background, my background in the industry prior to that, some of the things that we wanted to do for the industry, I want to touch on those briefly because we weren't able to bring everything to the show this year that we normally do. If we can go to the next slide. These are some of the technology products we have. One we're proud of is called the Resume Engine. It will translate skill sets of veterans into civilian language and a lot of the employers that are in the room utilize that. A lot of these employer partners that were recognized by the guys from CDLLife, we're working with in some capacity as well. We definitely appreciate those partnerships. You can go to the next slide. So one thing we try to do every year, and I'm going to kind of talk about this in reverse with the next slide, but we do a program every year that culminates in Washington, D.C. We try to tie that in with our work with Reese Across America, try to bring a lot of people up to Washington over the course of a couple of days. And one of the things we do on the afternoon, on the day before we go to Arlington to lay Reese, is have everybody come to the Pentagon to do a program to show support for ESGR, Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. We actually, in years past, have had an event here at the truck show. We weren't able to put that together this year, but I know that's something we're looking to do potentially back at Matt's for 2023. And because of COVID, for the last 2 years, we haven't been able to galvanize and bring in everybody in the industry to the Pentagon. But we are proud to announce we're going to be able to do that again this year on December the 16th. I want to ask Bruce Townsend to stand up if he can. He's always the best dressed guy in the room with his hat and his handlebar mustache. You can't miss him. But he is their director, and I would encourage you, while he's here at the show, to have conversations with him. There's a lot he can do for your companies or your communities in between doing things like going up to the Pentagon. Had a conversation earlier. I think you've got something scheduled maybe to talk with an employer resource group, maybe at Clean Harbors, and some things where you can go in and recognize the efforts of all the trucking companies who follow the USERRA laws and support people during their drill assignments and so forth. But ESGR is a great program. Again, we'll be getting information out to everybody about that, and hope everybody will be able to join us in Washington later this year. That event that I'm talking about with ESGR follows something that we have done now for, this will be our 7th year. If we can go to the next slide. We've had a partnership with Hiring Our Heroes, who I mentioned earlier, and also Kenworth, where every year we take nominations from trucking companies for people who are transitioning from the military into the industry. And for the past 6 years, we have been able to award them the keys to a Kenworth T680 truck. And I'm proud that say we're going to be doing that now for a 7th year. And the director of marketing for Kenworth is actually here with us this morning. And I'm going to ask her to come up and say a couple of words about the truck that you'll be able to find over in our booth, which is opposite all of the military wrap trucks. It's easy to spot. We've got a brand new T680 sitting there in the West Wing, booth 74173. But Genevieve, if you can come up and talk a little bit about that program.
Thanks, Brad. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I guess when you give a truck away, you get to get the mic. It's great to be here with you all. Again, Brad mentioned this is our 7th year in partnership with FASTPORT and the Hiring Our Heroes organizations. We are so happy to be a part of this. Drivers are the core of what we do at Kenworth Truck Company, and we are the driver's truck because we absolutely depend on our drivers as the fabric of everything that we manufacture, and we do truly thank you for all of the military personnel out there for your service. VIT doesn't only stand for veterans in trucking, it stands for very important truckers. So thank you for being a part of our industry. I appreciate that. The T680 Next Gen that we're giving away at the end of the year to the winner of the program is the most aerodynamic truck that we have on the road. It's an exceptional vehicle. I hope you get a chance to visit us in the West Hall and come and take a look. That truck is actually the truck that's going to be awarded this year. So it's really exciting to be a part of this program, get to show you a first look at that vehicle. It's got all the driver creature comforts that you've come to enjoy, and we'll definitely be excited to show you around the truck later this afternoon and tomorrow. So thanks again for everything that you do. We truly appreciate it.
So again, we're proud to be in partnership with Kenworth on that program. I've actually had a couple of drivers come up and already tell us that they're going to get their name in the hat this year, and it happens to be the color of the fleet that they drive for, so everybody's got their angle for trying to win that. I'm really glad what y'all did earlier today, recognizing the drivers and everything that they do for our industry. Certainly it's been essential for the last couple of years because of the situation the country's been in. And there is no more time now for critical needs in the supply chain and shortages for that to be recognized. And I think if there's one person in the industry that's probably worked as hard as these drivers over the course of the past 90 days, it's my colleague Dave Harrison that I'd like to come up to the stage right now. He's going to be talking to you about what we do in the registered apprenticeship space and also our work recently with the White House as part of the 90-day trucking action plan. So if you would, give it up for Dave Harrison. You got a mic, you good?
I think it's funny they think I need a microphone. Okay, first off, I know we already acknowledge all the veteran drivers in the room, or at least most of them, I hope. But by a show of hands, and this is out of respect for knees, if you have served at all, please raise your hand. All right, thank you very much. By a show of hands, if you are a family member of somebody who served, direct family member, please show your hands. Thank you very much. Bless you all. Next slide. I am a veteran, by the way, U.S. Army guy, jumped out of planes on purpose for a long time. Don't know why. They were perfectly good planes. So we did it again, over and over again. At least, yeah, airborne. Thank you very much. And did you hear the Marines earlier? How they're communicating to each other? It was grunts, hoots, whistles, and those kind of things. Yeah, you knew there was a smarter one back here somewhere because he whistled once or twice. Fry, was that you? Yeah, you've been studying for that, haven't you, all day long? Okay. So, look, we rib each other. I will tell you this. I was at a small company called J.B. Hunt Transport, built a program, and we've got some people who were with us during that effort to hire 10,000 veterans in 5 years. We engaged people, transitioning service members and their families in every step and turn we could. We tried to build a program that was simple and sustainable and scalable. One of the things we did is we leveraged workforce development things like apprenticeship. The reason we did that, and I'll get more into this, but because an employer who has an apprenticeship program can offer a GI Bill benefit to a transitioning service member. That benefit is a monthly housing allowance. It's paid over and above the salary that veteran gets from you as an employer. You got to imagine that's a good recruiting retention tool. Plus, the veteran earned it. They're not required to take it, but they sure as hell should have the option of doing it because they've earned it. Next slide. Recruitment strategy. I'm going to talk about recruitment. I'm going to talk to employers in the room, not so much the drivers, but yeah, those folks who are driving, you'll be surprised in 3 years or 4 years or a year, you might be making decisions for other people. I've driven. How many of you knew you were going to be right where you are right now when you were transitioning? You didn't, most of you. So life will change. We've got a veteran who's an executive vice president in the room, already spoke. We have people who move up the food chain all over the place. A lot of the people I work with, very large Fortune 100 companies, down to mom and pops, are all veterans. Your career path is extended and varied. I've had more jobs than Barbies had careers. So, all right, look, your candidates and employers, military diversity events database, FASTPORT has that. We bring that to the table. We connect those events, HOH, Military Officers Association, Higher Heroes of America, Centurion Military Alliance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We do this for interconnectivity to bring transitioning service families into well-paying, long-term sustaining jobs. Employers, we work with associations. We've got, what are they now, Gina, 19 Industry Association co-sponsored national program standards, or 18 and one pending for approval. They'll be approved anytime, maybe today or tomorrow. That spans about 7,000 employers. And that's across all spectrums. I believe in opportunity. A rising tide lifts all boats. Let's get the engagement from employers who value veterans and who are veteran ready. Not veteran friendly. Everybody says they're friendly. Ready is a different story. Next slide, please. Now, I'm really, see, I always wonder about putting this slide up because if you're in this room, you already think you need to hire a veteran. But if you're in this room and you're an employer and you think you've got to carry this cause to someone else in your company, pay attention to this because this is accurate. All right, I'm gonna call my guys in the front room, even the guy looking at his phone right now, not paying attention to me. All right, so how long did you serve? Right there. How long did you serve? 4 years. Is anything incorrect in that statement? Any bullet comment incorrect? If any veteran can correct any of that, is that not a true story for every veteran you've ever known in your civilian workforce transition? This is why. And these soft skills are what no one's getting in college, and no one's getting in high school, and unfortunately not everybody's getting at home. These soft skills are the thing that employers can't find. This is what we bring to the table. Next slide. "94% of new truck driver apprenticeships remain after an employer after they've completed their apprenticeship." 94%. How many are keeping 94% of truck drivers just coming out of CDL school or civilians? I know the answer to that. Diversity, 65% of new truck driver apprenticeships and are diversity and inclusion candidates. No organization other than the military is more diverse. If you recruit for the military, you'll have a diverse workforce. Diverse workforce means you are stronger. You're smarter, you've got ideas that mix, and people who know how to work together, especially coming out of the military. Teamwork. It takes everybody. It was said earlier that 2 o'clock in the morning, every driver here has been in a situation where everything went to hell in a handbasket and they needed support. And not 2 hours from now, not 4 hours from now, they need somebody to back them up. They will commit to you, you got to commit to them. They'll give to you as long as you're giving to them. Anybody want to correct me on that who's a veteran? Didn't think so. Safety. Well, I'll tell you right now, we've run studies on just our apprenticeship. We got 17,000 apprentices since early 2017. About 27% of those are veterans. We ran studies on both vehicle inspection and driver inspection hits. And we run straight off Safe Assist data, and we are 15% below everyone else in the industry. Just on that. We're doing crash data now and work with FMCSA. So if safety is important, and it is for a lot of reasons, and it should be, this right here is a clear path. Next slide, please. Veterans have specialized training. Ain't that the truth? You know, I came out and they said, "What are your skill sets?" Well, I can lead, follow, get the hell out of the way. And if you need something blown up, I can probably handle that. Do you have any work for that? Look, everyone who served for a minute or two they're task oriented, they're mission oriented, they reverse plan. That's one of the reasons that we work so well in logistics. What other organization in the world moves an entire city into a hostile environment and runs it successfully? The United States military does that. And everybody understands their parts and they play their part. That's why it works. And they know the next person's job is, to the right or left. That's exactly right. All right, so the understanding a higher purpose of things. There's a whole lot of us in this industry because we know without this industry, this country fails. We're still serving. Every one of these people who serve in this industry, I don't care if they're in the executive boardroom, I don't care if they're popping a clutch, I don't care if they're turning a wrench, I don't care if they're dispatching, I don't care if they're recruiting, it does not matter. We're serving, and we're serving the best interests of this country, because without us, it dies, period. And if you as an employer don't understand that, you really need to wrap your head around that, because your engagement strategy needs to involve veteran employee resource groups, needs to wrap your arms around these people, because I will tell you, if you take care of one, they'll bring you another one a lot like them that you won't have to replace. How many of you guys up here in front have referred another veteran to a company you work for? Look at that. Case in point. Next slide. There are multiple resources that exist in space for employers. We'll connect you to those things, but they're free. We're not giving you anything, and we're not charging you for it. As far as on the apprenticeship end, the Department of Labor pays our salary. We're going to give you a recruiting retention tool that's going to help you help veterans and help yourself. I don't know what else you want. It's that easy. But here's resources that are open and available to you. And I will say this, and I'm going to echo something that Brad said about Bruce Townsend. Bruce Townsend's a friend, even though he's an MP, and spent 20 years as an MP. I forgive him that. slowly. It's not as bad as being the Air Force guy in the front. But, yeah, that guy right there, the Air Force guy right there. Yeah, right there. Right, so, if you have not engaged in the employer supported guard and reserve and done that and made that part of your ethos, you need to. It'll bring people to you that are highly qualified, that are serving this nation in a guard or reserve capacity, that if you will support them, they're going to bring people to you in spades that will help serve your organization. I urge you to link up with my friend Bruce. And Bruce, the check better clear this time, okay? So, next slide. Tomorrow, we'll be right here. And the Department of Transportation will be here talking, and then the Department of Labor will have representatives. We'll have a panel here. We're going to talk about the 90-day challenge of the White House. A small group of us, FASTPORT, got tagged to be part of the truck driver shortage task force. And then all of a sudden, I'm talking to the President of the United States about the supply chain challenges we're having. And then we got tagged to represent the Department of Labor and the federal government in an expansion of registered apprenticeship. Veterans was one of the pillars in that. Since then, and I'm going to talk about this, we put 96 employers in touch in new apprenticeship programs expanding. Most of them have or are now engaging in GI Bill eligibility, submitting so they can provide those benefits to veterans who are coming in, and I applaud every single one of those organizations for stepping up and doing so to take care of their people. So we're proud of that. We'll get more of that information tomorrow. If you want to know more about it, you want to know how to do it, how easy it is, how we can bolt it in and make it happen in a matter of hours if you're ready to do something, and how we'll help you manage it, show up tomorrow. We'll walk you through it. I'd like the next slide. That's me. That's him. There's Genevieve. Thank you very much. Hey, how much time do I got, Matt? 5 minutes. Questions from anybody, employers or anybody else, we'll take them. No questions? Right here. Right here in this room. 11 o'clock for the FMCSA, and noon starts for us. Is that right, Brad? Noon for us? Yeah, noon starts for us. Next question. You served in the Army? Yes.
Yeah,
What MOS? Thank you very much. That's a fantastic question. And one of the wonderful things about this apprenticeship effort is the Department of Labor has, they call it a work process schedule. Really what it is a set of curriculum guidelines for competencies that a driver must have to be safe and effective. Well, back there, Miss Gina, she got ahead of this thing and aligned a new work process schedule or a new competency-based program to align with ELDT, the under 21-year-old program, and align with the DOT's exact language for training paradigms for competency-based, so achieving a skill set, the same language as the Department of Labor, because we designed that language for the Department of Labor, and it matches the DOD IMAP. ATA has now adopted that. The Truckload Carriers Association has now adopted that. The Trucking Alliance has now adopted that. Next Generation of Trucking has adopted that. Minority Professional Truckers Association has adopted that. She Trucking has adopted that. Women in Trucking has adopted that. The Food Industry Management Association that has all the private fleets has adopted that. The North American Punjabi Trucking Association has adopted that. The idea, to your question, is to have a linear path to better training with competencies being the threshold. Now, how we get person A, B, or C to a competency can vary. But we all know, if you guys have driven for a minute, how many of you have been trainers or are trainers now? You know, sometimes some can and some can't. If you've been training for a minute, you know that. And you know, it took me 3 months to learn how to bike and 2 broken bones. Brad Bentley did it in 3 days, okay? So there's competencies based off of your skill sets. It should not be based off of, oh, you did 3/4 ton backing for this amount of time, and magically you're good. You got to have the eyes on. You know they can or can't. Anybody tell me I'm wrong who trains? Okay, so the idea is to put the power in the hands of those who know what somebody does or doesn't, and to take any kind of time static or any evaluation out of that. So then what we'll have, because just like I said, our apprentices who've been in this operation, you got 15% less vehicle and inspection and driver and vehicle inspection issues, and crash data so far is showing we're well below the average too. That in itself kind of ties that together. Does that answer your question? Pretty much? Okay. If you need more, I'm willing to talk to you. Any other questions? Well, as I said the other day, that means either I did a really good job or really sucked. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your service.